Ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, everybody. Today is Tuesday, July 12th. My name is Josh, and welcome to my channel. So, let's just get right into it, shall we?
Today's many things is proof that despite the naysayers, we can make meaningful progress on dealing with gun violence. Because make no mistake, sit down, you'll hear what I have to say. If you think you
I'm trying to tell you this for years.
let me finish my comment. Let him talk. Let him talk. No one, okay? Because make no mistake about it, this legislation is real progress, but more has to be done. The provision of this new legislation is going to save lives, and as proof that today's politics, we can come together on a bipartisan basis to get important things done, even on an issue as tough as guns.
So, that was Biden. As kind of usual, being not really worth a whole lot saying, that father is the father of a shooting victim in Parkland, Florida, arguing that we haven't done enough. We're going to go over the gun legislation bill, but I want to first comment.
When you criticize a white liberal, they
whoa,
call you racist.
whoa,
and you think
whoa,
to yourself,
whoa, Tucker, I didn't ask for you. Back off. Jesus. Anyway, oh, I should probably have autoplay off. Right? That would be smart. That would be a smart thing for autoplay is okay. Anyway, yeah. So Biden passed some legislation that, quite frankly, doesn't do enough. We're gonna go look at that. But that father was pretty outraged. Parkland happened, I believe, in 2018. So it's been about 4 years. Let me double check here. Let's double check. Parkland shooting. Let's see. Was I correct? Look at that. So right. So 2018. It's been 4 years. We've had, we're going on. We're on the second year of Biden, of a Democratic president, and to this day we haven't really had meaningful legislation been passed. So let's take a look at Biden's bill. I also want to come back to something, but either way. So this is a breakdown of it by CNN. So earlier this month, a bipartisan group of senators had released an agreement in principle for a deal on bipartisan gun legislation, which notably had the backing of 10 Republican senators. At least 10 Republican senators will need to join Democrats in supporting. I can't read. I'm sorry, guys. In supporting the bill for it to overcome the filibuster and pass in the Senate. Here's a breakdown. So first of all, to say nothing of the initial politics in terms of the filibuster, there is absolutely no need for the filibuster to be as much of a hindrance and as much as a stop block to legislation as it has generally been. The filibuster has been reformed multiple times. It has been reformed recently so that Congress could pass the the spending. To make sure that the government could continue to spend money. I don't remember what it was called. It wasn't a spending bill. It was the budget. That's what it was. So the filibuster is not something that is sacred. It's not something that is necessary. Some people will, maybe make the argument about majoritarian or minoritarian rule, whatever it might be. Either way, the filibuster is simply something we can or cannot have in our functioning government. Personally, I don't feel like it allows representatives to actually pass laws. So it's kind of useless in my opinion, to a good degree. There is a place for the filibuster. I don't think, if anybody's seen that old movie, I think it's Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. There's no reason why that format for the filibuster should not be the one today. Unfortunately, today, filibustering is incredibly easy. You just say, I'd filibuster, and that's all you have to do. It's utterly ridiculous. And Biden, with a 50-50 split Senate, basically what would have to happen is Joe Manchin or Kirsten Sinema, or really, they would need every single Democratic vote to repeal the filibuster and get rid of that rule. that ruling. The filibuster right now requires you to get 60 votes as opposed to a simple majority, and they could do that at any time. But Joe Manchin doesn't want to do that, and quite frankly, Biden doesn't want to put pressure on him. So that's why we don't. That's why we have pretty meaningless legislation like this right here. Anyway, first one we got here, $750 to help states implement and run crisis intervention programs. This money can be used to implement and manage red flag programs, which are aimed at keeping guns out of the hands of those who pose a threat to themselves or others. It also can be used for other crisis intervention programs like mental health courts, drug courts, veteran courts. Whether the money could be used for things. Okay, point is, this is red flag laws right here. This is money for red flag programs if states would like to implement them. So understand that when Biden says that this law says, when Biden says we put $750 million in the hands of states, understand that that's $750 million allocated to states that want to do anything. So, considering many state legislatures and a lot of states are Republican held, you're not going to see this money going to anywhere other than, your Californias, New Yorks, probably Washington, DC, maybe Pennsylvania, but you're not going to see this everywhere. This is not a sweeping legislation. This is just if the states would like to, they can have money for it. But like a lot of things, a lot of red states will probably either A, refuse this money, or B, not even implement any of these things. So it's not really all that substantive. Closing the so-called boyfriend loophole, the legislation closes a years-long loophole in domestic violence law that barred individuals who have been convicted of domestic violent crimes against spouses or partners with whom they shared children or cohabitated with from having guns. Old statutes didn't include inmate partners who may not live together or married or share children. The new bill would bar anyone who is convicted of domestic violence crimes against someone they have a continuing serious relationship of a romantic or intimate nature with from having a gun. The provision isn't retroactive. So, it's not retroactive. So, understand that this isn't going to fix anything that's already happened, which, that's kind of the reality of a lot of laws these days. But either way, other than that, the boyfriend loophole is, honestly, it's a loophole that, sure, that's a good provision. That's one good provision. I'm certainly in favor of this, but it's really not going to. It's not broad, and this is going to be the theme of this legislation when I talk about it, is that none of this is broad enough for it to really impact. Yes, this is good. Yes, this is something that should have been on the books as it is, although it is rather, it's a bit narrow in the sense of, continuing serious relationship or romantic or intimate nature. You would kind of have to prove that, so this is also sort of the problem. But this is an improvement. This will do something, but again, this isn't, this is a band-aid solution. This is like one of those fucking circular band-aids. But this is something, if I'm giving these like ratings, this is like a 4 out of 10 in terms of any impact it'll do, because this is voluntary. This is a bit better. This is somewhere around a 7, something like that. This is a bit better. So moving on. Requires more gun sellers to register as federally licensed firearms dealers. The bill goes after individuals who sell guns as primary sources of income, but have previously evaded registering as federally licensed firearms dealers. This is significant because federally licensed dealers are required to administer background checks before they sell a gun to someone. Again, this is honestly kind of a half measure. At the end of the day, this isn't going to catch everybody, and a lot of these individuals are going to continue to evade those background checks if they want to. Private gun sales are something that is incredibly difficult to regulate. This is probably where I will say that, when it comes to private sellers and private citizens selling guns to each other, or that's going to be really hard to catch. And this is, again, this is something, this is not sweeping legislation that's going to bring about a big change. This is, again, going to be a pretty rather small edge case in terms of getting some of, making sure more this will increase the amount of people getting background checks done to buy guns. This isn't gonna take care of everybody though. If you've ever been to gun shows, at least here in Colorado where I live, for the most part, as far as I can tell, all of those are businesses, and you do have to do background checks for all of those. I'm not sure what laws are. I've only been to gun shows in about 2 states, so I'm not super keen on where, like, what the laws are going to be, what the laws are like in the South. I'm sure those will be not great, but either way, that's still going to kind of be a sticking point. Give me 1 second. I'm just something really quickly. Okay, cool. Okay. All right, let's see. More thorough reviews of people ages 18 to 21 who want to buy guns. So I don't know how to say this other than it's not like this is the problem with this is a really typical problem of liberals, and specifically Democrats like Joe Biden, is that, like, there's this weird what's the phrasing for it? Help me out here. What's the phrasing? Means testing, you could say. I'll just use that term aside from the one I was probably grasping for. But there's this weird means testing of, like, well, we need to target 18 to 21 year olds, which is accurate, but if you're 18 to 21, there are probably already state laws that you're not allowed to own firearms. And also, this isn't raising that age. This is just um putting a slightly more stricter eye on kids 18 to 21, which, by the way, given the makeup of the Supreme Court right now, they could easily say this is unconstitutional. But let's read first really quickly, because I realized I didn't read it. The bill encourages states. So this is the problem. Encourages. Like, this is what a lot of more left-leaning folks like myself find issue with this, because this is asking nicely. Democrats ask, Republicans pass laws and demand. The bill encourages states to include juvenile records in the National Instant Criminal Background Check System with grants, as well as implement a new protocol for checking those records. It gives NICS 3 days to review an individual's records. If something potentially disqualifying comes up, NICS gets an additional 7 days. If the review is not completed by then, the gun transfer goes through. So this is, we have gun control for 18 to 21 year olds. That's what this is. This is decent, not even decent. This is weak gun control measures for, what is this? The range of 3 years of an adult's life. So, I mean, this is nothing. This is, as usual, instead of passing strong legislation, this is not going to do a whole lot. This is pretty. I mean, it's just, how we haven't just simply raised the age of who can buy firearms to at least 21, and that wasn't even in the bill. Like, understand, that's not what this is saying. This is not raising the legal age to own firearms to 21. That's not what this is doing. So, and that would actually be a substantive, like, even though it's not my favorite regulation to put on people, like, it's something. So, and this isn't even that. So let's see. creates new federal statutes against gun trafficking and straw trafficking. The legislation makes it easier to go after those who are buying guns for individuals who are not allowed to purchase weapons on their own. I mean, look, this is already illegal, and making the penalties more strict, and and whatnot is good, but the people who are doing that are, I mean, it's not something that I think is the core problem. And is this is the last one, right? Yep. And increases funding for mental health programs in school and school security. This money is directed to a series of programs, many of which already exist, but would be funded more robustly under the new law. So, yeah, I mean, mental health programs, that's great. School security, this is again, this is the problem with this one is it kind of it's ceding so much ground to the right that schools need to be more safe instead of just making society more broadly more safe. This is like the type of, school safety, school security. You're going to have Ted Cruz in Texas saying, we need to have less doors and all this other nonsense. So, I mean, this is money going to, this is just money going to things that, I mean, quite frankly, these are, this entire bill sans, I'll give them credit on like the boyfriend loophole, but like everything else is either asking, encouraging, the only real piece of gun control here is for 18 to 21-year-olds, which they didn't even go all the way and make it illegal for 18-year-olds to like buy firearms. So, I mean, and let's go take a look back at Biden's speech really quick. Luckily, there's only a minute, or at least the section we're going to look at.
Despite the naysayers, we can make meaningful progress on dealing with gun violence.
Right. So again, this is the thing. This is the problem with Democrats is they are going to, after passing this, say they made meaningful progress. That is to them, if you hear meaningful progress, understand that is complete hogwash and there's nothing meaningful about it. When you have to say, it comes down to it when, like, you see all these, you see like adjectives like historic, meaningful, all this nonsense. When you see politicians come out with that stuff, that should tell you immediately that they are marketing it to you using positive language. And probably a good idea for you to not fall for that positive sounding language. So,
because make no mistake, sit down and hear what I have to say. If you think you
trying to tell you this for years.
So yeah, this guy, father of one of I believe a Parkland shooting victim. I'm assuming it doesn't. Let's interrupt. Whose son was killed. Yeah, that's what I thought. So yeah, this is a victim of this kind of gun violence, and as usual, like a lot of Democratic voters, is outraged and yelling for Biden to do more, and his response is like, kind of, what can I do? Well,
Let me finish my comment.
Yeah. Okay.
Let him talk. Let him talk. No one. Okay. Because make no mistake about it. This legislation is real progress, but more has to be done.
Yeah, as usual, this is progress, but more has to be done, but not going to happen right now. And it's one of these cases, and we're going to talk about this in a second here. But let's let him finish. Let's let him finish.
This new legislation is going to save lives.
It probably will save
that today's
some. Yeah.
Politics, we can come together.
So this is the problem. This is DC brain rot. This is Democrats not understanding the time that they're in. Because at the end of the day, how do I put this? Biden is from a time where the politics of Democrats versus Republicans was just different. And what's upsetting about it is Biden is constantly ringing the bell and like setting off the fireworks for working together on bipartisanship. That's not what we need in this moment. That's not. And Democrats have yet to come to understand this, that this is not the time. There were January 6 hearings just this morning. I'm hoping I'm most likely going to cover those highlights tomorrow. But understand, there was a coup attempt in this country. There were people ready to take over our legislative buildings and like hold them hostage. Understand that. And we are still talking about working with Republicans. And people say Liz Cheney, fuck Liz Cheney. Let me say that as much as I can. Fuck Liz Cheney. She's not a hero. She's doing what's best for her politically. That's point one. Point two, understand Liz Cheney is one out of how many Republicans in the House and in the Senate who have been supporting or advocating for the kind of rhetoric that led to Jan 6. So understand, this is the Republican Party now. So this working together nonsense is not going to work. A. B is going to hand this country over to fascists. So, they're incapable. They're incapable of responding it to this moment. Like, I don't know how else to say it. They're just incapable of doing it. So anyway, let's finish up here.
On a bipartisan basis to get
bipartisanship, talking all this nonsense.
On an issue as tough as guns.
Even on an issue as tough as guns, he says, as he passes half measure after half measure after half measure. So, actually, this is a good transition. So, let's get to this. Okay. Whoa, snaps. Nearly half of Republican primary voters want someone other than Trump, with DeSantis getting half as much support as the former president in new poll. Let's see. All right. Former President Donald Trump continues to lead all challengers in a poll of Republican voters, but with nearly half of GOP voters saying they prefer someone else. And the poll reveals a sizable chunk, 16% of Republicans who say they would vote for President Joe Biden if Trump is the party nominee. So, 16%. I know that was really loud. I'm sorry, guys. So, 16%. That is not an insignificant number. I also don't think that number is going to hold. Republicans generally are pretty loyal to their own side. So, I'll admit, I don't think I don't think this number here is real. I think that's bullshit. Anyway, New York Times Siena College poll comes as Trump continues to try to reassert his dominance in the party, picking favorites in key primaries and trying to defeat Republicans who voted to impeach him. So that hasn't gone super well for him. And I know a lot of people kind of think that that's a sign of, that's a good sign. I don't really think that matters too much. I think Trump's name doesn't carry as much weight as Trump's endorsement. So you have to understand that Republican voters, in their minds, to them, they don't see themselves as followers. They see themselves as individual thinkers. So when Trump, they will follow Trump. Like, if Trump is the nominee, if anybody's the nominee, they won't vote for a Democrat, no matter what. But, when you show them Trump, they go, well, I mean, love Trump, but, I like this other person in my county, in my state, or whatever. Trump's endorsement isn't everything, but at the end of the day, it's not about Trump's endorsement. It's about Trump himself. They love him. They want him to get up on stage and curse and do all the things that, politicians aren't supposed to do, like try to, not give up power peacefully. That's what they want. And they will pick the people they think will get them to that end goal. But at the end of the day, either way, Trump gets to the point of 49% of Republican voters who are asked to name their preferred candidate. So half of them who are asked, like, hey, write down who you like, they go for Trump. Doubles the support of his top rival, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who party insiders view as the most potent threat to him. There is a substantial drop-off after that. Ted Cruz getting 7%, Mike Pence 6%, and Nikki Haley said, "Get the fuck out of here, Nikki Haley." Mike Pompeo, get the fuck out of here. Ted Cruz, Ted Cruz was too emasculated. He will never be able to win a. Well, first of all, he would never win a general presidential election. I don't suspect that he'll ever be able to win a Republican primary for president. I don't see that happening just because of how emasculated he was in the last one. Like it's just you kind of can't come back from that. It's tough for people to forget some of that. But let's see. Pence during recent speeches defending his decision to accept the votes certified in the state by states where Trump was claimed. That's Jan 6 shit. Don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Give me. Okay. Yep. I know who these ugly fucks are. Biden leads Trump by a narrow 44-41 margin. And nearly 2/3 of Democrats would prefer a candidate besides Biden. Where is it? Give me this candidate. No, give me. God, this is like the worst site ever, right? All right. Nearly 2/3 of Democrats would prefer a candidate besides Biden. So understand that that's 2/3 of the party are not with him. That is what is that? That he is getting 30. That if we do that math wise, that's 33%. Trump in his party is sitting at 49. And understand in a primary where he gets to shine, where he gets to talk and like name call and mudsling and do everything else that he does. Trust me, that number ain't gonna last. This 44-41, that ain't gonna last because Trump's eventually going to show. Because once he gets DeSantis out, that's it. That number is gonna go up to, if it's 16, that means he's probably gonna get 84%. I guess that 16 number is kind of BS. So I'm going to say he's going to have 90% of the Republican Party on his side, and they're all going to be ready to vote Joe Biden out. So, this 44-41, we don't have time for that. And also, and this is going to be really anecdotal. It's going to be very anecdotal. So in 2016, I did some canvassing for technically a third party group, but it was on the side of the Clinton campaign, pushing for Clinton in a third party organization. I didn't work for the Clinton campaign, but if there was one thing I heard consistently, and I mean consistently, whether I was in the city in Denver or even if I was up in the mountains, the one thing I'd hear from folks, would be that they really disliked Hillary, but they respected Bernie for his honesty and thought some of his ideas were interesting and commendable. A lot of them said, if I could vote for Bernie, I would over Trump. But between Trump and Hillary, there's no way I'm voting for Hillary. So there is a dynamic of Republicans who I think, and independent voters, obviously, but like more independent-minded Republicans who could be swayed voting for Bernie. But at this point, I think it would be hard. I think in 2016 was the best moment for that to happen. I do think it would be pretty difficult, but not undoable. I don't think that's impossible at all. I think Bernie absolutely has a shot, could have a shot. Do I think he should run? I'm a bit skeptical. I love Bernie. I do think we need somebody a bit younger though, just because. I think Bernie as like a VP would be actually what's best. I think, if you're asking me how to enter the primary, I think it should be, if I'm giving any advice to any progressives out there, it's, if you're running a ticket, Nina Turner at the top, Bernie as VP. I think that right there, you get people who love Bernie, you tie Nina to him, pulling some of his influence, pulling some of his, already built-in support, which might actually kind of, it might actually kind of get you out of that hole because, let's be honest here, Nina Turner is a black woman, and that's going to be tough for some people. And I think having Bernie next to her, the same way you had Joe next to Obama, cringe, I know, but I think politically that could be a potent option. That could be a very effective strategy. But either way, Look, I mean, guys, this is 2024 is important. Everything's gonna kind of ride on 24. The midterms, I haven't looked at a lot of the polling. Instincts tell me that midterms are not going to be great. But also with Roe v. Wade, there's at least a vague chance that that could galvanize support. I'm not super confident in that, which is why I'm nervous. I'm not sure because you have to understand people are going to be angry and upset with what's happened, but it will you're gonna be asking them to vote for somebody who, honestly, for lack of a better term, who allowed the things that made all these people angry and made everybody upset. Between all these Supreme Court decisions and everything, they have done such a shit job, that it might not honestly matter too much. They might. Oh, thank you. What is that? NYS Jewish man. Thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate you. But that might not be enough. There might be, like, there just might not be. It's like one of those things where you ask people to support you, but you don't do enough, and like they know they should, but they like grit their teeth. My girlfriend has this problem where like even in the last election, she's just gritting her teeth because she's like, fuck, man, like, yeah, it's just like, what do you like you can't ask somebody to vote for you and deliver nothing. Like, if nothing else, the right does deliver for their side. So it's just, I don't, there's not a lot I can say. It's just, it's political malpractice. And it's I say this a lot when it comes to the gas prices right now, which I understand that that's not really like something that is, how do you put it? That's not something that Biden has an immediate like ability to act on, or not even act on, make like a huge change on. But like at the end of the day, it boggles my mind how you can be so irresponsible to let gas prices get to the place that they're at. Like like you can't, like, they've gotten to the place that they're at, and you're not out there, like, you're out there asking oil companies to bring the prices, that, like, you're doing something, and it's politically irresponsible to let it happen and to have nothing to do, like, oh, we're going to we're gonna repeal like the gas tax for a bit, which is cool, but like you should have seen this coming. You should have just done that ahead of time. Or you should be on TV every single day calling out these companies every single day. But no, every time I go to the pump, and I say it as a joke, but like it fucking sucks cuz it costs like $45 to fill up now, and it used to cost me like 23. But like I look at the pump and I go, "Thanks, Biden." And it's just like, it's like a joke. It's like, but like, fuck, man, like I shouldn't even be able to make that joke. But either way, they're irresponsible. They're going to fucking like let Republicans walk all over them. It's, yeah, it's just, it's irresponsible.